Hey folks, welcome to Friendly Orbit, the podcast that draws us together no matter how far we fly. I'm Ceres.
And I'm Theia.
And I'm Copernicus.
We got a guest!
We got a guest.
Thank you for
We
having
did
us.
We have a very special guest.
We can retire in success. We've done it.
Yeah, we achieved podcast perfection.
Yes, we've dragged one other helpless soul into this nightmare that we weave together.
And not any helpless soul. It's a very special soul to me because I'm dating this one.
This is, as far as I've heard, this is accurate.
Well,
Our audio is also a little different this week because we're each in different places. So you guys get the bad audio series. You're welcome. I'm hoping Santa brings me a new, better microphone.
yeah, well, in the meantime, you get good audio, Copernicus.
That is true.
Yes.
Okay, well, now that we've done our introductions, Copernicus, how are you feeling this week?
Well, today I'm feeling like going on an adventure.
Do you feel like that too, Cyrus?
No, I feel very precious.
Do you want to try that one again?
No, that's good. Andy Serkis owns this space, and I will not compete in it. I will only visit and dip my toe in.
All right. Well, I'm feeling like taking a long walk, and I don't intend to come back.
Damn, it's gonna be hard to record the podcast then.
Yeah. All right. This week we are in honor of the upcoming movie War of the Rohirrim, produced by Peter Jackson but directed by a very famous Japanese movie anime director whose name now eludes me, and I will search during the intro. We are tier ranking the classic characters from Lord of the Rings.
Oh my god!
You almost say Game of Thrones.
It's the same thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Roll the intro.
This is going in the edit, buddy.
5, 4. Four, three, two, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
So, Lord of the Rings. Copernicus, have you heard about Lord of the Rings?
I've read all the books, including The Hobbit.
Have you read the Silmarillion?
I tried.
Okay, so I guess I'm the only
Nobody needs to read the Silmarillion.
Well, I feel like today I will go a lot of the times I go like, well, actually,
Yeah.
in the
Oh boy.
Silmarillion.
I'm so
Don't we
looking forward to being
that?
corrected.
Don't wait. Listen, I feel like it's a lot of my job here at the Friendly Orbit is correcting you, because I always am like
Okay.
googling Wikipedia stuff and going like, actually, the thing you said is wrong.
But you should do more of that. I find in the edit we tend to always agree on everything. There's very little tension beyond the obvious sexual tension.
Beyond the obvious sexual tension. All right, so let's get to the topic. We are tier ranking Lord of the Rings characters. I'll announce the category, and then we'll go through the characters. I will let Ceres and Copernicus give their takes on like where they tier rank this character.
Mm-hmm.
Then I say actually in the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
Then chaos ensues.
It's a rule?
That's a
That's a
rule.
rule?
That's a
Okay.
rule. Then chaos ensues. I think I will let you two vote for the tier rank, and if you don't come to an agreement, I will split the difference.
What kind of tier list are we talking about? Is this a classic S, A, B, C, D? Or...
Because we don't have a lot of characters, I reduced it to A, B, C, D. No S tier.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lame. I would rather you cut D than cut
Okay.
S.
All right.
S is the best tier.
Okay, then let's do S tier, B tier, A tier, B tier, and C tier. Happy?
No, so we're doing S tier, B tier, A tier, and D tier.
No, I don't think we are. So the select characters who always tier rank are Frodo, Aragorn, Gollum, Denethor, Sauron, Gandalf, Elrond, Gimli, Legolas, and Galadriel.
I'm just realizing how lost somebody who doesn't know Lord of the Rings would be during this episode.
If you have never watched Lord of the Rings and or read Lord of the Rings and you show up to this podcast tier ranking Lord of the Rings characters, I don't know what to tell you, man. Go watch those movies; they're good.
I know there's people who are like, "What's a Gandalf?" and they hate the Lord of the Rings. They're like, "It's all walking."
Then skip to the next episode. I'm sure the next episode will not be Lord of the Rings themed. Okay, so here's my wildcard rule. Because you might have noticed that there are still characters that we would want maybe to tier rank sometimes. They didn't make the cut. For every category, we can each add a notable character that we think is either very good or very bad at the thing. Because there are so many characters, and if we have a good idea, I think we should be allowed to. Okay, first category. How fashionable would these characters be in the 21st century?
Oh.
Let's start with Gollum.
I think Gollum will be very fashionable.
What? Okay, I'll stay non-partisan.
Did you just say Gollum would be very fashionable?
But Sauron will be more fashionable. So I
We're starting with Gollum.
as excellent.
Okay.
But I can.
Gollum walks around naked with a codpiece, and he's only wearing the codpiece because of cinema restrictions. Let's be honest.
All right, and we don't have to start with Gollum. We can start with anybody. I think Sauron's a good one. Tell us your opinions on Sauron, Copernicus.
Yeah, I think the way he dresses is very bold, and I think a lot of people will find him very sexy with all the spiky armor on.
Well, I mean, you have to imagine the 21st century.
Smash me with your mace, Sauron, Daddy. Yeah, I think Sauron is like a 12-foot tall goth kid in those big stompy Doc Marten boots or whatever.
Yeah,
I can imagine him walking at a fashion show.
Yeah,
and also, exactly.
He's also very tall, and I think he walks with some shoulder.
Yeah, he has a stride. You know, his stride.
He has a stride. Yeah.
He is. I also.
He's also proportionally very skinny, right? Like,
he is
to his size.
He has a model like body.
And Sauron is literally also like a seducer. Like before, he looked like this. He went to the elves and convinced them to do the rings for him. I think he knows how to dress to impress.
I think.
Although that's the opposite form that he's in right now.
But that makes you wonder, because he's wearing a mask. That makes you wonder what's beneath it.
Yeah, that only adds to the charisma, right?
It only adds.
Look, if we're being honest, Sauron gets pulled over by cops all the time, and if Sauron saw you shoplifting, he would say absolutely nothing. I don't know, not a person that would fit the sort of standard norms or whatever for a job interview.
I mean, if you look like this, sure, but like if you look at Sauron comprehensively as a character, I think he's been through different phases, and I would say he always has the drip on point.
Well, you see, I think you got to differentiate, right? Early Sauron and present Sauron are different, right? And I think they would be high or low for differing reasons, you know? Like,
I don't know.
Say before.
Also, shapeshifting is not really fashion. So, yeah, I feel I put Sauron at an A. And the reason I put Sauron at an A is what I consider S tier fashionable is I see someone and I'm like, wow, that look really works for them. I get a sense of identity from them, and I want to be that to some degree. Sauron, I get a sense of identity. Absolutely, there's fashion happening over here, but it's not really practical. It's not anything I would want to wear. It's a little too much. The 12-foot mace is, I could take it or leave it.
I don't think fashion is practical ever. I don't think you have to be practical at all. That's why
I think, I mean, for me, good fashion would be something I would want to wear. Otherwise, it's kind of meaningless. to me at some
In
point.
the industry,
Like, I can never wear it, and I can never engage with it other than to look at it from afar. Then it's kind of pointless. Like, what's the point of fashion that costs $20,000 to wear? I will never be
Well,
able to afford that.
well,
I
series.
don't
I
think
wouldn't
you
say
have
that's
to wear it
yeah.
necessarily
I wouldn't say
yourself.
that Sauron's fashion is pointless. It's arguably very pointy.
Yes. But my
I'm
point
sorry.
is, it's not like, I think that for me, practicability absolutely counts.
Okay, so you place him at NA.
Well, so here's like for
Copernicus?
example,
I think.
for
Oh, wait,
example
oh,
here.
wait.
I was about to say that sounds very German, but then I'm not sure if you want to put it in there.
But no, it's also like when you go to a fashion show and you see the people on stage, they look kind of like Sauron. You know, they're kind of
They
often
kind
you
of
have exaggerated, overstated looks, and then you look right to the left of the stage at the people who are designing this. They never wear what they put their people in, and I think that speaks volumes. Like, most fashion designers tend to have one relatively practical standard look that they wear for years because they know it suits them and they know that they like it. And that is, for me, like that's where I ding Sauron slightly, right? That's why Sauron is an S tier. Sauron is A tier.
Okay. Copernicus?
Yeah, for me, fashion doesn't have to be practical. I mean, for me personally, I agree. I will only want something I can wear myself, and I don't think I will go around in super heavy armor with flames inside. But I I think the look works for the industry. By the industry standard, I would say Sauron can be the S tier.
Because in your example, he actually dresses. You know, he wears what he preaches. He shows
Yeah.
up in his big spiky armor, and then he makes his Nazguls also wear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, okay, so you're S tier, you say S tier?
Yes,
Okay, you
I
say
would
A
say
tier?
S tier.
I'll split the difference. I'm gonna have to put him in S tier because I think that Sauron always nails the look based on what he wants to do. He wants to, he wants to convince the elves that he's a good Maiar and a nice angel figure. He shows up looking at the most beautiful elf that there is. I think I would feel different if Sauron did all these things and always had the same look. But like he dresses for the occasion, and I gotta respect that.
How many of these questions do you have?
A lot. But don't
Okay,
worry.
we got
The
to keep
length.
moving.
Yeah, we're flexible. We're flexible. Okay, I think next.
Gollum is C tier, and there's no debate about it. He has no personal hygiene. And he's barely wearing clothes. It's not even an avant-garde statement because he doesn't do it on purpose.
But you know, nowadays there are some influencers who will make a statement.
Walk around naked with their teeth falling out.
Well, you should at least walk around with bare feet, and
Listen,
then you should stop flossing.
those
Seriously, I watched a video like that. Yeah.
those celebrities and influencers who was like, I don't believe in washing my children, still put an awful effort into like their personal appearance. They still curate their image very much. This man, if this man is like
And Gollum,
is a filthy little naked gremlin whose teeth are falling off and who eats raw fish.
Look,
But not-
first things first, Gollum. Bald is a look, and hair is a look. Balding is not a look. You gotta shave it, Gollum. You gotta shave it.
okay, I would say among all of these people, all right, Gollum can go to C tier.
I mean, if not Gollum, who? Okay.
Okay, Galadriel is an S tier.
Yeah, Galadriel.
Obviously.
Oh, I would say
Galadriel
Gandalf
is wearing clothes that at like a formal ball would genuinely work. And she it would look like old fashioned and it would be like a statement to some degree. But in relevant like in comparison to everybody else, nobody would like run out of the room or be like, is this allowed? So Galadriel for me is S tier. She is very graceful. That obviously contributes to how well she wears her looks. And also her ears aren't visible, which is something I'm going to come back to on some other characters.
I would say Galadriel can go to A tier.
A tier.
A tier, yes.
Under which circumstances is Galadriel not like nailing it?
Under Sauron, because Sauron is serving daring and bold. He is rebellious.
So
Galadriel can
I
go
think
photo
that's-
negative and
yeah.
talk about
Galadriel can become the photo
beauty
negative version of herself.
and, what is it? A wrath or like a what was it? A,
as as strong
as
as the
destructive as
foundations
the
of the earth.
storm or something like that.
Yeah, powerful as a storm, as strong as the foundations of the earth, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, that's not daring. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of fashion, I would say her outfit is more standard.
I mean, I think it's. I mean, it's less. Maybe it's less like
It's not
showy.
striking.
It's
yeah.
not as extra as Sauron, but like I think she still nails the look.
I think nowadays.
Yeah, I
people
think what you
think
guys
like-
are what are missing, in my opinion, is Sauron is daring in a bad way. He is wearing weapons. You can't even give him a hug. Like, yeah, it's daring, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily good. You know, wearing nothing but neon orange paint would be daring. That doesn't make it inherently fashion.
Yeah, but it works for Sauron for me. Anyways, so you say A tier for
I would say
Galadriel.
A tier because it's pretty standard elven.
Okay, I'm gonna split the
outfit.
difference again then, and I'm gonna also place Galadriel in the S tier.
All right, but Galadriel ahead of Sauron, right?
I'm not. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Oh, I have a fun one. I have a fun one. Denethor now, because Denethor, you know, he cares about the image, but he is also Denethor.
Yeah, Denethor is.
Yeah, wait. Let's have Copernicus go first this time.
Well, I guess he dresses well because he's wealthy, but considering his lifestyle, he's not healthy. Considering his diet, let's say,
I'm not talking about fashion here.
and the amount of exercise he gets by sitting on the throne.
I'm talking
all the
about
time.
fashion here, but
Yeah, okay. Fashion-wise, I would give it A tier.
A
But
tier.
if he were to do a catwalk, I would place him in B tier.
Okay, strange take, strange formulation, but okay.
Denethor is absolutely B tier. That
Mhm.
Denethor's hair is kind of a little bit of a statement and something I could imagine seeing on a runway and not liking. And the rest of him is fucking gray. He wears nothing but gray, and he doesn't look happy any of the time. And
Oh, no,
and
doesn't.
I don't think he can really pull it off because like gowns are still in, and thus Galadriel works. Like gray royal robes for random men at the coffee shop does not work for me. So and Denethor does not have the personality to carry it in any way. I mean, the entire time we see him in the movies, he's paranoid, he's insecure. I don't think his fashion is going to help him out of that hole.
Yeah, I can imagine in the 21st century he would buy a lot of things that like look expensive, but kind of like at the end he kind of looks like very tacky.
Yeah, I was
You
about
know,
to say.
I
he
think
can look
tacky would
yeah.
like in 21st century, like fashion, he would be like pretty tacky.
You know, there
Also,
are
just monochrome gray is like
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
that's
But
not the swing you think it is. That's-
There are some
but
rich people.
unlike Gollum, I don't think he would get kicked out of the establishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are some rich people, you know, they buy their clothes from all these luxurious brands. When they put them all together, it's hideous. It can be a similar case over here.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't follow a lot of celebrity stuff.
No, I don't either, but
Elves next. Legolas and Elrond dress fine or whatever, and I think would be fine, fashionable, but they have fleshy non-human ears sticking off their head, and I feel like that really limits the sort of broad acceptability of their appearance. They're
think
just
the
so
Legolas-
identifiably not human. So I feel like even though they dress fine and in 21st century clothing they would probably dress fine. I mean, Elrond better, obviously, being I think he's a bit more sophisticated, a bit more of a diplomat than Legolas, so I feel like if he had access to 21st century clothing he would wear it better. But I think both of them are limited by the fact that they are visually obviously non-human. So
Okay, but
for me, that's B
let's
tier.
imagine though that it would be fine. That like elves are normal, or there would be humans in the 21st century. Like
Okay, well
that's
then
a,
I think they're just they're easy A tier. Like they're nothing too particularly special. Like Legolas has more the looks than Elrond, but I think less the fashion sense because he's like a woods person and a shooter and stuff like that. And Elrond has slightly less the looks, but I mean, come on, he's
yeah.
Elrond. He's the height of sophistication. So I would put them both in A. I don't think Elrond is like. I think if you asked who is the more fashionable friend, Elrond or Galadriel, the answer is obvious. So I think they're both an A for me.
Yeah. What do you say?
I think they're both A for me as well.
Okay.
And I think for Legolas, because he has blonde hair, the pointy ears aren't as obvious as in Aaron's case.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
that picture also he has them tied behind him. I think it's more jarring when they kind of pop out of your
Yeah.
long hair.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do an interesting one. Gandalf, always wearing just like a gray potato sack.
I might place him in either S or A.
I
Okay.
knew you were gonna fucking say that. Tell us your feelings about Gandalf, Copernicus. Come on, really unload on us.
Yeah, I think he is serving the wise look. And I think it's gonna sell nowadays, where you have this elder man who is monochrome style when he became the white wizard, especially. But then when he was wearing the gray robe, it's more. He's serving more natural. There's this word for it, but it's not in English. Rustic.
Oh, rustic.
Rustic.
Yeah, it's true. He is even. I mean, when he's dancing around at Bilbo's birthday party, I mean, he doesn't look that bad or like dressed that poorly. Fits quite well with the hobbits, I would argue.
Rustic. Sorry, yeah, rustic style.
Rustic.
Rustic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see why you like Gandalf, seeing as that you play a character that looks like
I
Gandalf
do. Yeah.
almost every single time we play D&D.
Almost every single time. Yeah.
And every
Except
single
the first
character you've rolled up so far has white hair, so I see why you like the white hair. I
Yeah,
do think Gandalf has a very modern beard when he's Gandalf the White. When he's Gandalf the Grey, it's
Yeah.
still like long and wizardy, but it becomes much more short, and the cheek line is clearly trimmed like to a
Yeah.
specific height. So that gives it a much more modern look. His hair is obviously not that modern, but he's one hair tie away from looking like somebody who you could see in a coffee shop. I think he also has a charisma that is important to his character, but white robes just. Well, I mean, like, there's a question between the difference of how well would he fit in our universe, like how many people would stop him on the street and be like, "Are you okay, sir?" And how many people would be like, "Damn, that's fashionable. I want that." Because I think honestly, if Gandalf walked into a church and like did a little something with his hair, he would fit right in. Father Mithrandir, how are you? But in general, I don't think the white robe is that fashionable. I mean, I think the walking stick is actually amongst the most fashionable things that he sort of has. So it's hard for me to place him because I feel like his personal grooming and charisma really helps him, but there's nothing much about his outfit that I really consider particularly fashionable. So I guess that's kind of the question. Is fashion also your personal grooming and how you hold yourself? Since people use models for fashion, I guess the argument would be yeah. So it is hard for me. I just think it's weird because obviously most of these people wouldn't be fashionable in our world, so we kind of have too many S's and A's. I'm realizing, but I think Gandalf is probably a true A. So I think I
Yeah.
would put Gandalf in A tier, but not really because of his clothes, if that makes any sense.
I mean, maybe the style as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's overall, as you said, grooming is a big
Yeah,
part of
it's
it.
like if you put him in a comfy jumper and you put up his hair, he would look like a fashionable professor. You know what I
think
mean?
it would still look fashionable in everyday clothing if you were to If he wore a pair of jeans and a white T-shirt
Cool
on
The
the
Grandpa.
height of
runway,
fashion.
I think he's
Cool,
still gonna
cool
kill it.
Grandpa, the new sitcom, the new Netflix
Yeah, and
sitcom.
Yeah,
nowadays
no, but like you could
because
see him at an AC/DC concert or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gimli. Yeah. I mean,
The thing
what's
is, so here, let me make an argument for why Gimli should be high up. All right. First off, Gimli has a gigantic beard, which was in and is now kind of going again, but it's kind of evergreen. And I think a lot of fashion these days is how much do you have a personal style that fits into something that was fashionable at some point?
Mhm.
Gimli has that on the beard. In addition, Gimli is a dwarf, which are the exact people who care the most about what they clad themselves in and the importance and the meaning and who made this and who made that and who did I inherit it from or did I make it myself. So I feel like obviously in his plate mail, Gimli is not very fashionable. But given the chance, given resources and time and opportunity, I feel like Gimli could actually be pretty high in the list. Definitely better than Denethor. The question is he better than Elrond?
Mm, I mean, this might be heresy, but I'm gonna bring up the Rings of Power.
No, don't do that.
I will do that. I think that like from what we see, from like what it's like to be a dwarf in Moria, when you're not supposed to be like a strong warrior man, but you're like a prince, and Gimli is a prince. I think that the fashion that we see in there is very nice. They have a lot of beautiful jewelry, but like it's not better than Elrond.
The
So
thing
if
is, I feel like the whole I feel like one of the big vibes recently has been like this idea that like you do grow out the beard, you do show like facial hair and stuff like that, sort of this kind of leaning into masculinity, but also trying to keep it under control to some degree. Like a lot of Donald Glover looks are like showing off, man, I've got this amazing beard, but also I keep it very firmly under control and I line it up very well and I do this thing where I detach my mustache from the rest of my beard, which I think looks really good on him, but is very extra and a lot of work. Um, and and I feel like Gimli would rock at that. You know what I mean? Where he'd be like untamed but sophisticated at the same time because he would be braiding his hair and taking very careful care of his beard as dwarves always do in Lord of the Rings and care about what they wear. So
you
I
can see
kind of feel
Gimli in a
like Gimli would
perfume,
assimilate the best.
mm, you,
Like I
you
think
see,
Gimli would assimilate the best. Given enough time, I think he would eventually be dressing better than Elrond. Like I think at
mm,
first Elrond would be better, but Elrond's stuck in his ways. He's 3,000 years old. He's not learning the new. Gimli cares about what image he's presenting, what he looks like.
mm.
Then again, he's been a soldier most of his life. I'm judging him mostly for being a dwarf, not for being Gimli. Obviously, in the show we see in the movies we see him mostly just in armor running around doing military things. So we don't know how he feels. Maybe he's a dwarf who doesn't care about appearances.
In the book, he's a lot more sophisticated than he's presented in the movies. So I think there's an argument to be made that like there's a whole side of Gimli in the books that we're not seeing in the movies, anyways.
Mhm.
Copernicus,
I will rate Gimli as B tier.
B tier.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But
So
I
it's
do agree with the beard.
Mhm.
It's similar to Gandalf. I think they both devote quite a lot of effort, even including Legolas.
Mhm.
These three devote quite some effort
Mhm.
in maintaining their hair in
Mm.
general, hair and beard.
Mm.
And I think grooming
Wait,
is a
what
big part
beard?
of that.
Two of
Yeah.
those don't have a beard.
Well, wait,
They're just clean shaven.
Gandalf and Gimli, they both have a beard.
Wait, I thought you were saying Elrond, Legolas, and Gandalf.
No. Legolas, Gandalf, and Gimli.
Got it. Okay.
All three, yeah. Because if you look closely, Legolas actually braids his hair as well.
Mm.
It's actually it's not a very complicated hairstyle, but he needs to braid his hair. And for Gimli as well, he braids his beard. And for
Yeah, I
Gandalf,
mean, dwarves are always taking careful care of their beards
yeah,
and their hair.
exactly. Yeah. And for Gandalf, his hair and beard, they look very silky. So I think grooming from these three are
Mm.
done well. And I think they deserve to go to A, at least A or B tier.
I'll put him in lower B. In lower A, sorry.
Yeah.
Put him in lower A.
Just because of
I
the
think Legolas needs to come out of A.
He needs to go to B.
Legolas, yeah, I think Legolas is ahead of Denethor, but what does Legolas do for his clothing? Like, what is he ever wearing? Like, yeah, he's pretty, I guess, in sort of a generically handsome Hollywood way, but he's not. He's got nothing really unique about him. Like,
I think it's because of his physique, no? If you consider the physique of the model as
I
a
think
part
it's
of
yeah, I guess I
fashion
just feel like
statement.
he has no spice. You know, he's like oatmeal. There's nothing
His dressing
necessarily
style
wrong
is
with him, but there's
mediocre.
nothing that's really so exciting about any of his fashion sense or his appearance that really puts him high on the tier list for me.
I think Legolas basically wears whatever you give him.
That's actually my
Yeah.
argument for Sauron for being placed against.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
feel
I
like
agree.
Legolas
I
is,
think
is
Legolas
is an
is
attractive
yeah.
friend you have who wears anything you give them and always looks better in it than you do, but
Yeah,
doesn't really give a shit.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's okay. He can stay in B.
Okay, Frodo.
Frodo.
Interesting, a hobbit.
I mean,
I was
Elijah Wood does a lot of fashion, but Frodo.
Mm.
not much. Not much.
Yeah, I mean, I think Frodo for me is like Legolas. Like this, like there's nothing per se wrong, but there's nothing super exciting. He never wears anything like particularly interesting or has a hairstyle that's particularly interesting or a fashion style. The only thing he's got going on that's a fashion statement is this man refuses to wear shoes. So I would put him ahead of Legolas, but in B tier. Like I guess that's a statement. That's a big swing. I'll
I mean,
remember you for sure, but not
oh,
exactly
he
fashion
has
icon.
hairy feet.
Yeah, but please don't step into my house again.
And he has
Yeah,
hairy
exactly. Like
well, he doesn't shave his feet.
I respect your culture, but you can't come into my apartment.
Yeah. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You got to
Okay.
wipe your feet at the door.
Okay. Finally, Aragorn.
All right.
Aragorn is interesting. Aragorn starts as Strider, basically a hobo with a bow.
He did look like a homeless man, and he looked like he never washed
Yep.
his hair.
Yeah. But
Yep.
like, yeah, and I think with Aragorn, it's like the question is like, like, is his fashion improving because he wants to, or because people keep putting a crown on his head?
I think it's from the people, not from him.
I open the discussion.
I think
would-
Aragorn, when graded on average, is like somewhere in the C B range. Like I yes, he looks presentable at the end, but because he has to. Most of the
he is
time, he's not taking very good care of his
Yeah.
facial hair or of his outfit,
Or his
and he
height.
doesn't seem to care, which is legit, right?
Mm.
I mean,
So
it
it's
makes
like-
sense for a man who's like a ranger that like his priorities are not looking good.
I would
Exactly.
place
So
him in
totally
B.
respectable, but you're not winning this tier list. So
No.
Yeah.
He was-
I put him ahead of Denethor, and I think I petitioned to move Denethor to C tier because when we're grading on a curve, which is basically how I feel like we should grade, I don't think Denethor is in the same tier as Legolas and Aragorn and Frodo. Because for most of those, it's like I can't point out anything too wrong. It's just that there's nothing there that excites me. Denethor, there are specific things that bother me, like the monochrome gray doesn't count. So I vote Aragorn into B, Denethor into C.
Don't forget the red tomato smudge on his chin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would place Aragorn in B, and I would keep the current distribution because it is now skewed, normal distribution, and I like it.
Well, it would be a more symmetrical distribution
yeah,
if
it would
Denethor
be
was
more
in C. It
symmetrical
would be
if it
more
is.
like a normal
I don't want it to
distribution.
be symmetrical because then you just have Gollum, who is extremely bad.
Okay,
If
so
you
you're
place
saying
everything in,
okay, so
B.
Saris, you propose like this and then to drop him here.
Yeah, I propose
And-
Denethor in C tier, and
And
Copernicus
you-
wants to keep Denethor in.
yeah. I want to keep it
In B
like
tier.
this. Then
I mean,
Gollum
based on the
is really
distributions,
the
based
super-
on I mean, I would Yeah.
super bad one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, based on what we well, okay. First, I would put Aragorn ahead of Legolas because Aragorn is always wears the ring.
No,
He
I
doesn't have
would
to wear
place
it. He doesn't have to
no.
wear it, but he chooses to. He could have carried it in a pocket.
Legolas braids his hair. I will put Legolas first.
I don't know. Yeah, for somebody who was characterized as being stinky and just like not
Yeah.
looking good, and the other one was just characterized as an elf, I feel like
I would place the
Aragorn.
Okay, but I am
Just
keeping. I think, yeah, I'll keep Denethor in B tier though. I think
okay.
that he could, like, based on how I define the tiers. I think he is not always a disaster, but like bottom of B tier is, I think, probably where he belongs.
I just think he's significantly different from Gollum. That's why I would keep it like this.
Yeah, Gollum is kind of like truly like is
It really stands
like
out.
if we are grading on a curve, Gollum is such a disaster. Then like anybody else needs to be one tier above him, basically, except for like I don't know.
That's not how
Uh,
grading on a curve works. What do you mean?
But I mean that he sets the bar so low that everybody else looks like like
Yeah,
the
but
only one
grading on a
who
curve is like the top 20% pass. So if the last person is
Yeah.
0 or 1 or 5, doesn't
yeah
like,
no you're right.
yes, fitting it to a curve, you're right. Gollum should push everybody up a tier. But grading on a curve, not as much.
Yeah.
I want to activate my wild card.
Yeah, let's use wild card round.
All right,
Ooh.
Gloin is A tier and ahead of Gimli. This man cares so much about his facial hair. He would
He does,
fit
yeah, of
right
course.
in on
Yeah.
a walkway with his beautiful, well-groomed traditional beard.
Okay.
Mhm. And my wild card is Saruman. I think he goes to A altogether with Gandalf because
All right. Before or after Gandalf?
after Gandalf.
After Gandalf. Okay.
Oh, actually before. I would say he
Saruman
goes
has to go
before Gandalf.
after Gloin too. Saruman can't pull off the vibe. Saruman's like grumpy all the time, and he has bad teeth and bad fingernails.
No, okay. In that regard, yes, but I can imagine him as a supermodel, rocking a suit
Mm-hmm.
on the runway
Mm-hmm.
with that hair, with that beard, with that look.
Yeah, but his hygiene sucks because his fingernails are all weird. They're all witchy.
Also,
They're
his
not even like
clothes are
painted
not.
and intentional.
Yeah. Also, his clothes are like. Okay, if they had included the scene in the book in the movies, now we're basically going by movie
Oh,
look.
and he was like
If they
rainbow.
had-
He was wearing this.
I was about
rainbow
to say, if they had done the thing in the book where it becomes Saruman the multicolor and starts getting like all colorful, then I would be like, okay, that's
I'll
a
put him in
strong
A.
statement.
That's a statement. That's
There
something
he goes right to the top.
you will wear to the Met Gala.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as he's presented in the book, he is pretty wretched.
You mean the movie?
During
yeah.
the movie.
In the
Yes.
movie,
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
save
my-
this. Save
wild
this. We'll
card.
put it in the description.
Wait, wild card.
More wild cards.
My wild card.
Oh,
I get a
yeah.
wild
Oh
card
my
too.
god, we're doing 3 wild cards per tier list. I thought we had 1 wild card for the whole thing.
No, I'm dropping Shelob in C.
Okay,
actually-
obviously, she doesn't wear clothes. Hey guys, you know who also is in C? Shadowfax.
No,
Yeah.
pathetic.
Shadowfax is in C. You want to know who else is in C? The Nazgul. All right, cool.
Well, Nazgul, I would say they are doing pretty well. I will put Nazgul in.
They don't have a face.
A.
All right, let's move. We have to move on. We have to move
but,
on.
Okay, no, but I won't take Shelob. I will take the Urukai who kills Boromir. I'll put him in C. That guy is all function, no style.
And
I don't know if that
But-
guy knows what clothes are or
Well,
what
I
the
put
love and
him-
embrace of
I
a
put
mother
him-
is.
I put him above. I put him above Gollum, because like his hair was tied in a knot, and nobody else, no other Urukai had his hair tied in a knot. So it was like, I guess you made one choice.
All
I
right.
like Nazgul. though.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. And you said Emperor.
All right. What's our next one?
How well would they do as TikTok influencers?
Oh,
All right,
Okay.
Saruman, obviously S tier. His propaganda manipulation campaign worked
definitely.
excellently in a time where there was no mass medium for spreading
We don't
information.
have Saruman on the. We don't
We
have
have
Sauron.
Sauron.
Is that
We
your
can
wild
start
card?
with
Are you
Sauron.
starting with your wild card, or are you talking about
No,
Sauron?
I meant Sauron. I just misspoke.
Okay. Yeah, Sauron is. I absolutely agree. I agree.
Absolutely.
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 Yeah, Sauron. The real
He's
Donald
already
Trump
an
of Middle Earth.
influencer on Palantir Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Sauron is the master propagandist and great communicator.
Oh, actually, I think the others wouldn't do a good job.
Wait, let's go. Let's go one by one. Let's go one by one.
Well, tell us which
I
one. No, tell us which one, Copernicus. Which one wouldn't do a good job?
yeah.
I mean, Frodo, for example,
Yeah, I
as
think
well
Frodo would
as
suck.
even Aragorn, let's say, because all he does is doing the work instead of doing the talk. He's the opposite of a politician.
Wait, I think. I mean, I think that Frodo would have like a small following because of like the emotional sincerity. It would be like a small following of people who really like him. He would just never break through into
I
like the
think-
top of like he would never break the algorithm.
I
think
don't think
Frodo-
Frodo can break into the algorithm. I think Frodo will be very sincerely like commenting on his friends' posts.
Could be, yeah. Yeah,
He
yeah,
also
I
just
don't
doesn't
think
have the
he'd-
need or the drive to be famous or to be known.
Mm,
Exactly. He has no drive to be
Mm-hmm.
famous. He just wants a peaceful life.
okay, but I disagree on
Well, I mean-
Aragorn. I think Aragorn would do much. Like he wouldn't maybe be peak, but he would do much better. For once,
think
he's really handsome.
I think Aragorn is like B tier. Aragorn is like the official TikTok channel of the U.S. Department of Health or something like that. You know, it's like okay, people engage with it because he's the king and he's the heir of Isildur, but also like he's not magnetic.
No, but he would do like those like life hacks to survive in nature, and he's handsome. He has the rugged look. I think.
But he's also not controversial, and he's not really like he doesn't teach the hobbits a single thing to do in nature.
He doesn't. He does it himself. That's why the Hobbit.
No, I think Aragorn is B tier. Like he would be okay, but I don't think he's in the same level as some of the others might be.
Copernicus.
I agree. I think Aragorn, for me, he will go to B or C, even.
All right,
Because
Gollum
as
is
I
S
said,
tier.
He's the opposite. Yeah.
Gollum is S tier. Nothing would get more engagement and more controversy
That's
than
true.
just following Gollum's
I
life.
agree.
It is a perfect disaster piece. You would be watching it from start to end. He would have 100% of your watch time. You'd be like, oh my god, this man needs psychological help so badly. And he would be one of the biggest streamers.
Yeah, he would probably just like I don't know, like
He'll have a Twitch
strap the phone to his chest and then just like run around the
nature
caves.
cam, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Who
I
would
think
film
one-
a dead body in a forest? Gollum. Gollum would film a dead body in a forest.
I think that probably be like he would have killed the person.
Exactly.
I think that Gollum's. Yeah, I think I would actually place Gollum in A tier, and I'm telling you why. I think that one thing that prevents Gollum from reaching peak TikTok popularity is that his content would get banned all the time. he would probably make such controversial content that half the time he wouldn't be able to upload it. I think,
Yeah, of course. And he has
And that's why every
idea.
single thing would get the immediate views before it gets banned. And it would be like
even then they would demonetize him. I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about like success as a TikTok as an influencer in general, you can't be successful if
he
you
would
keep
sell merch.
demonetizing.
He
It's
would
true,
sell
right?
merch. He would sell boxing fights. He would sell, hey, chat, do you think this guy has the precious? Let's murder him and find out. Yeah, he would be all over the place. Completely uncontainable.
You probably have a Patreon account from which he takes all the money, like
Exactly.
Tier one-
Exactly.
tier one,
Like, you just need to be famous. You don't need to make money off the TikTok videos. You can monetize yourself so many other ways.
Okay, you convince me.
It's like that. I don't know his name, but recently I was seeing videos of this streamer who was like in South Korea, and he was like telling, I don't know, he was being racist towards South Koreans and telling them they're all pussies and whatever. And then like South Koreans on the street just randomly started coming up to him and punching him.
Oh wow.
That would be the level of content that Gollum would provide you.
I thought Gollum would provide live stream of him catching a fish.
Yeah, that
and
too,
eating
right?
a fish, like a raw fish in front of the camera, and then preaching it to the general public.
Yeah, I
Because
think
they're
that's sort of where Gollum would start. creating his cult following of TikTok followers, and then he would really blow up when the Precious goes missing. And he gets really unhinged. That's when. And he wouldn't be known as Gollum. He would be known as Precious Guy or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Precious 69. Yeah. Tier 1 on Patreon, mildly precious. Tier 2 on Patreon, quite precious. And Tier 3, very precious. That's the name of his tiers. But yeah, no, I also think that Gollum, Gollum would have probably a lot of engagement. You're absolutely right.
Oh, and I think Gandalf would do quite well.
Pay to get a live stream of me getting tortured in Mordor.
Oh, yes.
Begging.
Hey chat, this week we're gonna be tortured in Mordor. Click like and subscribe.
Press F to pay respect as they cut off my testicles.
God.
Join my OnlyFans if you want to see a Mordorian orc cut off my testicles. All right, Copernicus, you were saying Gandalf.
Yes, I think Gandalf could do quite well. And he would do videos. I think he will get invited for interviews, and he'll talk like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He'll be answering questions about Middle Earth, the origin of the Middle Earth, etc.
I hope he doesn't make the same Twitter posts as Neil deGrasse Tyson. And
I think Gandalf would also be so thankful to have TikTok, to finally get the word out. He would be like a positive influencer. You know, like a mental health influencer. Like, it's not so bad. We can take on Sauron if we all work together. And remember to be kind to yourself. And don't touch the ring if you happen to find it.
And don't touch the Palantir. Pippin! There would probably be like a running gag on his account, or like, I don't know, Pippin messes stuff up in the background. That would be his running gag, you know?
And until next time, remember not to be the foolish son of a took.
It's gonna be educational.
He starts every video with like, "Hello, hobbits."
Exactly. Oh my god, his engagement in the Hobbit community would be huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A Hobbit influencer.
So,
A tier for me.
A
tier. Yeah. Okay, Denethor.
Denethor is a C. Nobody wants to listen to Denethor even in the room.
That's true.
I don't know. I think it could be a good, like, you know, like a right-wing, alt-right influencer who complains about everything.
Oh, that's true. Nowadays it can trend.
I think he could be.
And he could, like, I don't know, like still probably, like, I don't know, like be part of an MLM scheme. He would sell crypto and shit.
I just feel like when we see Denethor in the movies, not even the people around him are really excited to listen to him, and he's in charge. Like, I think the thing is, he's not like Sauron. Sauron offers you an alternative vision, right? And is like, but you should join Sauron, right? Denethor is just like, you should give up and not do anything. And I think that's just not enough engagement. I don't think that would go anywhere.
The most unpleasant man on the internet, Denethor.
Yeah, because like a lot of like the outraged like alt-right content, right? It creates a feeling in you that keeps you engaged with the medium, which is like, you know, outrage and anger and this alternative way of viewing the world that, like, you know, fuels you, right? Denethor's content would just be like, yeah, give up, sign off, delete TikTok, jump off a bridge. That's Denethor's content, right?
Hey, Chad, I made a poll. Which one of my sons should have died? Oh, yeah. You voted wrong. I blocked you.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I feel like Denethor is like C tier. It would just be the least pleasant viewing experience. I don't think it would break through. That's my take.
Worse than Frodo.
But I already used my wild card, I guess, by saying that. I think Sauron would be Saruman would be A tier.
A tier.
He would, yeah.
Yeah.
A master manipulator. You know, he would be like. You ever, you know, it would just be, he'd be like, hey, you ever wonder why, like, magic doesn't work these days, or why the government sucks? It's because Sauron should take over. You know, he would do all these, like, he would debate a liberal every single day. He would do that. He would farm the shit out of that content.
A true Ben
name?
Shapiro. A true Ben Shapiro.
Peterson?
Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson, yeah. He really gives the vibe of Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, just Gollum, Saruman, and Sauron sit in a room. Sauron goes, "I lost my child to the woke mind virus." Saruman goes, "I'm so sorry, that must be really tough." Gollum's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, so what about fucking corpses, huh?"
Gollum is just jerking it.
The fucking nightmare podcast rotation.
I mean, what's his name? Yeah, Boromir. Like, look at this fucking death scene. My son, he dies with like a man kissing his forehead. With his soft shit, with his soft woke shit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your wild card. Okay.
Yeah.
Legolas. Would Legolas do anything?
I don't think he would be
Yeah,
a king
I-
in the first place.
He'd probably do like hair products.
Nah, it doesn't sound like him.
I think he would be like, do you guys know that I should probably name him now because we're talking about it on podcast. Do you guys know that guy who does the archery shorts? Who's like in the D&D space? The
Yeah.
trick
Oh my God, I
shots
know.
and stuff like that and historical accuracy?
Oh, I know it. I know it. I know the guy. I watched the guy actually.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
I think
British guy,
Legolas could do it.
Oh, he
I think
could be an-
Legolas could do it.
Yes,
Mhm.
he can be an arch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Archery.
he could talk about like accurate elven representation.
Yeah.
He could totally do that. Yeah.
Like he brings you in with the archery trick shots, and then as you stay, he starts talking about, you know,
Yeah. Though we have
it's
to,
offensive
we
to
still
put
have
on
two
sticky elf
elves.
ears.
We still have two elves who are much older than him. So let's.
Yeah, so I mean, those elves I think would be higher in the tier list, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like what you're describing is Legolas would be like a B.
I think he would be the
Yeah.
same
Like you have
as
his.
Aragorn.
Yeah, he'd be another like.
I would
tips
put
and
him ahead
tricks.
of Aragorn personally. I would put him ahead of Aragorn myself.
Sure.
But yeah, B tier.
Okay.
All right, well, let's talk about Galadriel then, and Elrond.
Yeah.
Galadriel.
I think Galadriel is A tier and Elrond is S tier because Elrond is this diplomat and this master communicator. It's like his whole vibe. But I think Galadriel would also do incredibly well at it, and especially if Galadriel started doing like beauty tutorials. I mean, isn't she like canonically the most beautiful person in like all of Middle Earth? So like she could
Yeah.
definitely do it. I just think Elrond kind of his skill set is slightly more bent towards the medium of
I mean,
communication.
she's an enchantress. I think arguably she might be even better than him. Because like,
She'll be-
Okay.
I feel like Elrond might have Elrond. Yeah, here's the thing. I feel Elrond might be too smart for the internet.
What do you mean?
Mm.
He might try to use too much like logical arguments,
No.
and
I
would
think
have no patience for fools. And I think as a
Couldn't
tech,
Elrond be like a liberal like streamer? Couldn't he be like what what are they? I don't watch enough liberal streamers, but you're like a liberal commentary streamer who's just like fact checking people all the time. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
I was there 2,500 years ago
I was
when
there. I was there 2,500 years ago when the courage of man failed. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he could be the fact checker.
Yeah, and so that's why I think like I think that like he has the skill set, but I don't think he has the personality for it.
But he's gonna get a team.
I think I'm gonna
I
give.
think he also has. I think he has the kind of content that is more hurt. Like Gollum's content isn't really hurt by being banned all the time because Gollum like can fucking monetize in so many other unethical ways. Elrond is going to talk about international wars and stuff like that and get banned because
he's
he's
gonna
talking
talk
about
about
like death and
geopolitics.
war crimes. And it's going to affect his income and his viewership because
Yeah,
he can't
you know
just
that
leave
Elrond
crypto.
would be. Yeah, you know that every single video of Elrond would be like banned in Mordor.
Oh, but guys, there are geopolitics influencers as well.
Yeah, no, there are, but
Yeah,
like
I
we're
think
saying,
he
that
could be one
content
of
doesn't
those,
get
yeah.
as much content as like Gollum throwing shit at the Nazgul
Oh,
and
yeah.
running away.
Yeah, I feel like exactly like geopolitics content online doesn't get as much space. A, I think because it can make you upset and want to turn off the thing, but also B, because it gets suppressed a lot, right? Because like it's very hard for censoring algorithms to understand what the difference is between just talking randomly about murder and
Mhm.
talking about people being murdered in a war or something like that, right?
Yeah,
And so they're like, you're reporting on a war, you said the word death, you said the word killed, your short is banned or whatever,
yeah. No, so I think that Elrond goes in A.
Mhm.
Like he's still very good.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think Galadriel.
Galadriel goes to
I think
S.
Galadriel goes to S.
Yeah,
I
I
think
Yeah,
a
you
lot. I
convinced
mean,
me.
Galadriel is also so beautiful. There's like a bunch of guys sending her weird shit and paying a lot of money to her and getting upset when they find out that she's married.
Yeah.
You
And you
know,
want to know who one of those is? Gimli.
Gimli.
Who would have zero following. Who would
gonna
have
want-
zero following, but he is a
Yeah,
tier 3 sub to Galadriel's Patreon.
And Galadriel
He's a
will
lock
check
of
out
hair sub.
hairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Gimli does like arts and crafts.
Yeah.
He's like,
Gimli does arts and crafts for 2 viewers.
yeah, he does. He does not have the personality.
Not
I think.
really. Yeah.
Think he
He
would.
doesn't even do commentary. He's just literally just sitting in his workshop.
I
Just,
would say C.
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah,
silent live stream.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
teaching you how to use a super niche tool to like
Yeah.
do a spiral in molten metal. It's
Oh,
like-
but I think he could be a dwarven cultural influencer.
I
Yeah.
think I think to be real, like crafting and like making stuff online does have a following. I just
Yeah.
don't think he really has the personality for it. So I would give him like high C or middle C tier, but I don't think he would have the kind of following that Aragorn and Legolas could pull off.
Yeah.
I think he would be before Frodo actually, because Frodo
I
doesn't.
can buy that. Yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah.
Because Frodo doesn't have a content. What is he gonna
'Cause-
stream about?
yeah, exactly. Like Frodo has no content really to do. Denethor's content sucks. But Gimli's content, if you're into it, he will teach you how to properly form the edges on your axe so that the angles are nice and straight, and not wobbly.
He could do
And-
ASMR, like these kind of things.
What?
ASMR when he
Gimli?
crafts. No, when he crafts, you just hear the sound of him crafting.
Oh, okay. Just like
Yeah.
quiet,
Yeah.
like 4 hour stream of just him
Yeah.
quietly. I don't know. I feel like when he starts hitting stuff with a hammer, he stops doing ASMR.
I think
You're
Gimli
falling
is the
asleep.
end of the rabbit hole.
You're
Like I
falling
think Gimli
asleep.
is like yeah, I feel like Gimli's like 4 a.m. You found Gimli's account and you're like, I'll finish this video, but this is the end of the rabbit hole. I need to go to bed now.
Yeah. Also, like every 5th video is like a rant about elves, and then like I don't know, like 3 years into his channel, like I made an elf friend, and then it's like
it
teaching my elf friend how to
that
smite a
makes
sword.
sense, yeah. That actually makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. And then like 3 years later, it's learning from my elf friend how to string a bow. It's like
And 3 years
those
later,
old
we got
videos
married.
deleted.
We're getting married.
Yeah, and then those old videos eventually get deleted, and people keep asking, "Why don't you do any elf rant videos anymore?" And he's like, "You guys, I think my content's
I've grown out
grown
of it."
beyond that. I don't think that was really the best thing that I could have been making back then." And he was like,
You will make an apology.
dedicated.
Yeah, I imagine him.
dedicated
I
anti-audience
imagine
is
him
forever
ranting about
disappointed.
like. Imagine him ranting about like, oh, what's the elven thing? Oh, being all one with nature and divine. What's our thing? Smiting. Who's better at smiting? Still the elves. What the fuck?
You mean smithing, not smiting.
Sorry, smithing. Who's better at smithing? Still the elves. Still the elves.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Canor. Fuck you, Celeborn. Fuck you, Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay.
All right, I like this tier list. Let's ship it.
No. We have
Who's
2
your
more
wild
wild
card?
cards.
My wild card is Sam. I think he's gonna be a culinary influencer.
Sam does so much better than Frodo because he
I
has
think he's
passion.
gonna be
Absolutely.
way better than
Absolutely.
Frodo, yeah.
He is.
He does like slice of life, cottage
think-
He's
core
gonna be
kind
the
of.
top of
Yeah,
the tier,
I think high beer.
Top
That's
B,
him.
yeah.
Yeah. Here's how you make a high quality beef Wellington, whatever,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what.
But he's really nice about it. He doesn't do the Gordon Ramsay persona. He's really,
He's really down to earth.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, my turn. I'm gonna put Shadowfax in low A. I think that like this perfect white horse running around. I think he would be so popular.
Animal
are,
content gets so many views. I think it's
Yeah.
high A. I think
Yeah,
it's
like
high A.
You think it's high A? Okay.
Yeah, definitely higher than politics. If
Me
Shadowfax
too.
was a horse, I would put it in. If Shadowfax was a cat, I would put it in S tier, obviously. But I think horse content gets slightly fewer views, but I would put it as my highest A.
Cats know no limits. Okay, that's me being a
One
cat
more
person.
Copernicus, right?
Yes.
Oh no, you did
Already
Sam.
gave my wild card, Sam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sam. Okay. Let's do one more. Okay, this is kind of matching another popular topic of our channel. How good of a Dungeons and Dragons player would they be?
Oh, Aragorn.
Let's keep our tradition. Start with Sauron. I feel like we always start with Sauron.
Oh, he would do so well.
Ah,
Oh, you mean
No,
player, not a
no.
character.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the problem with
he's such a
Sauron.
toxic manipulator. He would be such a toxic manipulator. He would be nice in the beginning, and like 4 months in, and like you have no agency anymore.
I think he's gonna be the DM.
Maybe.
I think the problem with Sauron is that his literal ideal view of the world is a world in which he tells everyone what to do and everyone does exactly what he says. He is the least collaborative individual. He's antithetical to multi-person input. He believes he always knows best, or at least Galadriel always knows best. So I think he would actually make for an awful player because, oh my God, would he not be into the teamwork of it? His whole vision is unitary executive.
Yeah, I think where he belongs truly is lower B. And I'm telling you why. I think that Sauron, because like he is like socially skilled enough that he would not immediately be awful, but he would like to try to slowly grind you down. I think he would be fine at a one shot.
Okay, yeah.
Like you sit together with a one shot, Sauron is a perfectly pleasant player. But like if he gets invested and like it's been, after 4 weeks, 5 weeks, that's when the problems begin.
Okay, yeah. You can
That's
place
why I
him
think
in.
Sauron
I
is
agree
lower.
also because I think Sauron cannot let anybody in on his vision, but his vision is probably not that bad. Like, let's be honest.
true.
Sauron
Yeah.
ran
vision
Mordor pretty close to his ideals, and it would be an interesting story, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, it's not awful, but yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
And then I will place Gollum into C.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
As a
Speaking
player.
of someone who would be awful to play with, how about somebody who might strangle you at the table?
Exactly, yeah.
Jumps over the table, yeah. Gollum is, yeah. He brings fetish out of your character. He's like eating all the snacks at the table in the most disgusting way possible.
Yes.
Gollum, roll a Constitution saving throw. Natural 20. Can I see your die? No!
Eats the die.
Yes.
Swallows the die. Look at what you made us do.
Yeah, exactly.
Precious. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Gollum is awful.
Oh, I think Gandalf would do well.
Gandalf would be amazing.
He would be S tier.
Yeah.
I think Gandalf
'Cause
would be an
Gandalf-
amazing player. Yeah, I mean, he sets up.
Gandalf
He's
is-
a whole big part of the Fellowship. He knows how to share responsibility. He's super knowledgeable. The only thing is, I think he would be intimidating to play with, because like especially if you were a newer player, you would be like,
Those old-
I don't know, I can't keep up with him. He's so good and he knows all the rules, and he does this. He did that cool thing where he outsmarted the DM, and I can't keep up with that. Right? I think he would give people like he'd be a little bit intimidating to play with, but genuinely, I don't think he would be judgmental about that.
I
And
think
he would
he would
actually
be
want to
fine.
help you grow and develop your
I think
skills,
so.
right?
He sounds
and teach-
like my friend that I play with every week.
Aw. Thank you.
Now we get to guess which one.
Not you. Yes. You know which one. I will place him in S. He will be an amazing player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know even how intimidating he is, because like he
I
spends
don't
a lot.
think he's gonna be intimidating. I
he's-
think it's he's gonna carry the team.
He spends a lot of time with the hobbits, and like, if there's any people he would be very intimidating to, it would be the hobbits. But hobbits are really comfortable around him.
Exactly.
So I think he's like both like wise and supportive, but also like can rise out to the position of leader. So yeah, I think absolute S tier.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put him any lower than A tier, but I don't really feel like he is S tier
We can
necessarily.
put him at the
S,
low
a
S
low
tier. We can
S.
do low S. How about that?
Okay.
We'll put him at the bottom of S tier. When we add more people to S tier, it's gonna be the last one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Speaking of
Frodo
S
is
tier,
an S tier.
Frodo.
I think Frodo is an S tier. Like, Frodo is up for adventure, willing to collaborate, cares deeply about everybody at the table. I guess the only mark against him is maybe he doesn't have like the most Like he doesn't have a ton of knowledge to influence of the game, or like he's not like a you know he doesn't have worlds of creativity and imagination in him. But he's super heartfelt. He's the guy who always brings snacks. Like you want one of these at your table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he also, like, Frodo doesn't really care about the rules that much.
Yeah, exactly.
He
He's
doesn't
like
know,
super.
because he doesn't
Like
know.
I feel like he would be like, "Yo, guys, compared to this ring, it's easy going."
Yeah.
He would just be like, "Sure, whatever. I'm happy. I just want to be in on the adventure. I don't. It doesn't have to go my way. It doesn't have
I
to.
think I'll put him in A tier because I think I would put him in A tier because I think that, like, if Frodo shows up at the Dungeon Master who deeply cares about combat and fighting, Frodo's at the wrong table. But if
Yeah, Frodo would be like, he would try, but
Yeah. But if Gandalf sits down at any table,
Gandalf
he would
do well,
ace
yeah.
it.
He would ace it. Yeah.
I think
I agree.
Gandalf can sit at any table and have a
that
good time.
is true. That is true. That's true. That's something I hadn't considered about Gandalf. Like he can play at the Denethor table, but he can also play at the Frodo table. He can do
Exactly.
both.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh my god, play like Denethor. I mean, this is as D&D players, but like we can do a second round as Dungeon Masters. Like, Denethor would be, you know the type of DM Denethor would be.
Oh my god, Denethor would be a fucking awful DM.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm dead. No, you're not. You're my favorite character. Instead, this other one dies. You die. Get fucked. Okay, I'll
I would
put.
be like, hey Denethor, this fight seems a little too hard for us to win. Are you aware of this? Yeah, I guess you should probably give up.
Yeah.
Sounds like you should submit.
Why is this the second time that the dragon uses all of their attacks on me? It's what my dragon would do. Okay, I think
that's something Frodo might do. I think Frodo might have that issue at a combat heavy table. It's like, wait, why did you run away from the bad guy you were pinning down to go help your friend? And it's like, well, because I care about my friend. You're a fighter. You're not the healer. This is so suboptimal. What are you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing, indeed?
It's like, well, my character cares about your character.
Exactly. But yeah, I place him in A. Okay. We brought up Denethor. Might as well do him. Denethor.
C tier.
C
Cut him out. Cut him out of your life. You don't need this at your table.
Is Denethor worse or better than Gollum?
Better. He's better than Gollum, but emotionally, it doesn't. At least Gollum, you get like a story you can tell forever. Denethor just sucks all the air out of the room. Like I feel like you know how sometimes players get a little too scared, and you have to be like, "Come on, guys, it's an adventure. Let yourself into some risk. Something cool might happen, right?" Denethor would be the kind of guy where there's like 3 goblins in the room, and he's like, "Well, guess we're dead."
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's like you're 7th level. It's not over. And then he would win. He would win the fight, and you'd be like, "See, it wasn't over, Denethor." And he would be like, "Yeah, whatever. I got lucky."
Yeah, the Dungeon Master places 3 goblin and like 1 goblin captain, and like Denethor sitting across like the table from the end gives him like the most awful stare. And stands up and leaves.
If you don't want us to play the game, you could have just told me. And then he stands up and walks out. Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's do the elves first this time. Let's leave the 3 core fellowship fighters as last.
Okay.
Elrond. I think Elrond. I mean, okay, I'll leave you guys go first.
I think he's gonna be an A tier, at least. Elrond.
I'm worried about Elrond. Elrond can't. I don't think Elrond can play at the Frodo table.
No,
Well,
he's
he did.
no.
He did play
I think he could play. I think he could play. The
Well,
Frodo
so
table.
I mean, like in Rings of Power and stuff like that, he's like a diplomat and stuff like that. But he often misunderstands people because he has this ancient elven perspective, and he has a very hard time understanding why Arwen would want to live in the world of humans. And that scene, the way he talks about the world of humans, makes me think, I feel like Elrond is judging me for my roleplay decision and for the fact that I don't play the way they used to 2,000 years ago. And not that he's like awful, but I wouldn't feel great I would feel apprehensive. I'd be like, because he did forge the Fellowship, right? So there's
Yeah.
like, I'd be like, which Elrond am I getting? Right? Basically, am I going to get the version of Elrond who just is like, look, humans are kind of fundamentally just not as good as elves? Or am I getting the version of Elrond who's like, we all need to pitch in together to defeat Sauron?
Yeah. I absolutely feel like he could be controlling at the table. I think honestly, Frodo as a DM, I think that if Frodo is dungeon mastering, I think that he would be very happy that one person at the table is taking notes, because I think Frodo doesn't take notes of his own
No.
session.
Yeah, Frodo's game is like the most vibes only game. Like if he was a GM, it's the most vibes only game you've ever seen. He's like,
Yeah.
Elrond would be like, wait, that doesn't make sense. I thought she was this guy's daughter. And Frodo would be like, as the GM would be like, really? Oh.
Thank you, Aaron. Very kind.
And he laughs.
I guess she's his daughter then. Then forget what I just said. But anyways, they
Yeah,
still help your characters.
yeah. I think you're right. Generally, I think I will. If you guys agree, I think I will put Elrond after Frodo. Like he's not S, but he's A in the same way that Frodo is A. Like he's
Yeah.
a very good player, but he doesn't fit at every group. But like in a lot of like more serious games, you would definitely be happy to have an Elrond at your table.
I think
Yeah,
Galadriel.
that's the thing, right? Like if you were playing in Sauron's game, you would be so happy to have Elrond.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Elrond would be like, "That's inconsistent. That's inconsistent. That NPC is lying. That NPC is lying to us, guys. Everybody, pay attention."
Yeah, and like
Over there,
every
we can
time,
flank.
every time that he gets corrected, Sauron is like rock hard. But like I was like, I guess you're right. And I would be like so happy, so happy. Yeah. Okay. So how about Galadriel? How are you feeling about Galadriel?
So I
Would
don't know if
Galadriel
this
be
is my
good?
internal prejudices. I feel like Galadriel doesn't like D&D.
I was thinking about it. Would she care?
I feel like Galadriel's like, yeah,
She's a woman.
D&D, it's nice. She
Because she's a woman, right? Just like
No,
the
I think
complete.
it's I think she's just like in general, she's a little distant. She's a little difficult to approach, like in
She's
the books.
unapproachable.
And she's kind of doing her own thing a little bit in the movie. So I just feel like she might not, like, I feel like maybe she'd be like, yeah, I played D&D in college. It was fun.
Yeah, I
But
think
like she doesn't really care. It's just not the outlet that she needs. She doesn't need escapism. Her life is great.
Copernicus.
I think she might still want to play, but
Yeah.
indeed, she might not be approachable. That's the only thing.
I think she's kind of like I think she's kind of detached. She shows up, but more to hang out. She's the type of player who shows up to hang out, and maybe brings a cake
No, I
and
don't think she
shares
will
it.
bring a cake.
No, I think
no.
she'd bring a cake. She likes giving presents. I think she'd bring a cake or something homemade.
Yeah, I think she would bring a
Everything are
present,
friends.
but I don't think it would be a cake. I think it would be,
No,
something
it'd be
far more
something
elegant,
practical.
like a file
Yeah.
of Starlight.
Yeah, I also think personally, I think that Galadriel is like the lonely world builder type. Like she would not sit down and play necessarily, but she would maybe spend a lot of time just like making her own little setting.
Here's the
Yeah.
one thing I will say. I do want to play in Galadriel's game. If Galadriel's the one who's being vulnerable and is opening up and letting us into her story, I want to play in Galadriel's game.
Yeah.
I think she might run one of the best games.
Can you imagine if it's all like it's like the most like it's like Tomb of Horrors. It's just like
I don't think it would be. I think it would be so like artistic and inspired and different. It would be like if you did if you did a UMAP of all the different D&D games, hers would be the furthest outlier. You'd be like, "Wow, this is fresh. This is different. This is interesting." Like really
Yeah.
high class cuisine where you're like, "Yeah, I mean, I know how whatever this kind of pasta tastes." But then you eat it when it's really fancy,
Mhm.
and often it's a whole different flavor experience and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never had something quite like this.
Yeah.
That would be her game.
I'm
But
gonna
as a
put her-
player, I think she would intimidate me. Like Sam, can't play in the same game as Galadriel. He can't even Gimli in the same game as Galadriel can't get words out of his mouth.
He wouldn't be able to talk.
Yeah. So what do we say? High B tier, like higher than Sauron, but that's where
Definitely higher than Sauron.
For sure.
Definitely higher than Sauron. I feel like she could be low A tier, but actually, yeah, I would put her in low A tier. If we're not grading on a curve, if we don't have to fill up all the tiers, then I think she's low A tier.
Yeah. Low A tier? Sure.
All
Okay.
right.
Do we have a preference who we go with?
Aragorn.
Aragorn. Okay. I mean,
For
I think
sure.
Aragorn would be an amazing player.
S tier. Yeah.
Aragorn,
S tier, yeah.
S tier,
S tier,
above
no
above
doubt.
Gandalf, better than Gandalf.
No.
Yeah.
Think, no.
Yeah.
I would put him under
Gandalf is
Gandalf.
better.
No, I would put him under Gandalf.
I want Gandalf first.
You think?
Here's
you
the
guys
thing.
You argue that Gandalf would be bad, like I would have some downsides, and you were like,
Yeah, I think Gandalf would be a little intimidating, right? But if I want to learn from somebody in a D&D game, I want to know from the guy who knows everything,
Yeah.
right? And Aragorn doesn't know everything. He knows a lot, and he's very friendly, and he's very welcoming, and I absolutely want him on my team. But if we were in the Sauron game, and I got to pick, and I had to choose
You have to
between
have Gandalf.
Gandalf and Aragorn, I'm sorry. Gandalf knows the rules better.
I see.
Yeah, I agree,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But I think they're very close. I think you're right in making an argument that Aragorn is better. I don't agree with you at the end of the day, but I think they're very close.
Yeah, I think like accidentally Gandalf might end up monopolizing more the game, not intentionally.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
But yeah, I think so. But Aragorn wouldn't,
But in the Fellowship, Gandalf didn't monopolize.
because he died.
Well, he came back. Even after he came back, he didn't.
After he came back, he very much monopolized everything. He immediately told them, "Yeah, stop chasing the hobbits. We're going to Rohan now."
It was advising. It's strategized.
Nah, look,
No,
even
no.
Gandalf recognizes that if he put on the ring, he would try to do good with it, but it would corrupt him and he would become a tyrant. Even Gandalf realizes there's a part in him that's controlling.
Well, for Aragorn,
Aragorn doesn't want to be king.
that
He resisted for a long time until he finally came to terms with it. And even then, when he was crowned, he told that everyone should kneel to the hobbits.
Yeah.
Aragorn
No, I
knows
think you're right. I think Aragorn is better than Gandalf. I'm being too biased by imagining I'm playing in Sauron's game. In 90% of normal fun games, Aragorn would be just a little bit better than Gandalf.
And just to be clear, I am not. You have played in Sauron's game, and for the listeners, it is not my game. I'm not talking about myself.
What do you mean? It's not my game
It's
either.
It's not. Yeah, no, it's not your game either.
No, it's not your.
For the
I feel
purposes
like
of
I'm playing more
privacy,
in
we're not talking
Denethor's
about what we
game,
did.
but yeah, we'll see.
Wait, did it actually happen?
Yes, but Ceres can tell you about it off the pod.
It's not me, right?
No, it's
Okay,
not you.
yeah.
You're not
No,
Sauron.
it's not you.
You're
It's not
Sam.
you. Don't worry. Don't worry.
You're the Sam. Okay. Legolas.
I feel
I
like
think
Gimli and Legolas we can take together. Like I
No,
feel like their group dynamic.
No. I think Legolas
Okay.
is just there for the vibes, and Gimli is very engaged. Gimli goes out of the way to ask Galadriel for 3 hair. I think
No, he
Here's
asked
the
for
thing.
one.
Here's the
He-
thing. I think Gimli and Legolas work really well as a pair.
They
And
do.
at the end of the story, I think Legolas would be great at the table. And I think at the beginning of the story, Gimli would be too much at the table.
I
right?
agree. Though.
You can't
Okay.
ask Galadriel for her hair at the table and cry in your RP in session 1. You can't. That's too much, Gimli.
that's not
It's
session
too
1.
much.
That's not session
That
1.
was session 1.
That was not session 1.
That's the first film.
It's too early on. It's
Yeah, you
too
think
early
you
on.
cover the entire Fellowship of the Ring in one session, you fool.
The point is, it's too early on, and Gimli's latent hatred, or not latent hatred, but his latent elf racism in the beginning really does not fly.
No,
So I feel like-
I think that sets him up for a character arc. Also, we're not saying Gimli as a D&D character. We're saying if Gimli was the player sitting at the table.
That's why the racism doesn't fly. Because he's a player. because he's making comments to Legolas during the session that are not acceptable.
That's
So
no good.
that's
He's
why
like,
I
yeah.
feel like You could put them both in B tier based on where they start, but I would rather put them both in A tier based on where they end.
Yeah,
Because I think
We
by
have-
the
we have
end of the
so many
story,
people we have so many people in A tier. I
yeah,
think
but maybe there's a lot of people who it would be good to play D&D with. Like, we're not grading on a curve, right? So it doesn't have to become a normal distribution or whatever.
that's true. And to be fair, most of like Tolkien's heroes are like. It's funny. This is the first time that all the heroes are like top tier and like all the
Yeah.
villains are bottom tier. And I think that speaks to the fact that heroes in Tolkien's world are emotionally very mature people.
Yeah.
I mean, Sauron in a way.
He's not mature. I don't think Sauron is a very emotional. If your vision of for the world is everybody does exactly what I say, you're not an emotionally mature person.
Can I use my wild card?
Well, it's time for the wild cards.
I would like the Witch King of Angmar. S tier.
No.
S tier,
What?
no,
What?
why?
No.
This guy plays his character so fucking hard, but he takes orders all the time. He is not at all like he doesn't monopolize the screen, right? He takes orders. He's a follower. His whole the whole time we see him, he's a follower, but he's super in his role.
Dude, if you say the Gimli is too intense and therefore he belongs in A tier, you cannot put the Witch King of Angmar in.
Here's the thing. I like what the Witch King of Angmar is doing, all right? I don't like what Gimli's doing. He's asking Galadriel for her hair, and she's sitting at the table with us. That's weird. The Witch King is just being fucking dope and saying the most quotable fucking lines. And then when Eowyn, halfway through the campaign, goes, "Oh, well, I'm not a man," and stabs him, he goes, "GG, well played. You're right." And he fucking dies. And that makes him the biggest Chad, and I want him at my table.
Okay, fine. I mean, I don't think we should fight. We should argue about wild cards as much. Okay, Copernicus.
My wild card is Pippin.
Oh, okay.
And I'm gonna place
Pippin is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I will place him in B. Because I don't think he knows all the rules. He knows very few rules.
He'd be frustrated.
Yeah. But in the end, I think you just wouldn't know how he does something smart. He doesn't know either.
Yeah, like I think he would be really like playing with a human, honestly. You know? It would just be like there would be that one time where he fucks up a session so bad by throwing the corpse down the well. You would be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
But then also he would learn and he would get better. Yeah. And he's not at like Gollum or like Sauron where they're just kind of like unredeemably awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna take place Boromir in S tier.
S tier.
What? Boromir wants to steal the ring from you.
Boromir is amazing. No. Boromir is amazing.
You are biased.
He shows up. He is always very like his heart is always in the right place. Yeah, but the ring corrupts him. Like saying that he tries to steal.
He's a victim.
Saying that he tries to steal the ring is like saying that like Frodo tries to steal the ring and tries to kill Gollum at the end when they fight. Like that doesn't make Frodo a murderer, and that doesn't make. But like I think that Boromir, he's such a bro. He comes over. He teaches the hobbits how to fight. He's welcome. He's going to teach the little players. He's gonna take the little players under his wing. He's gonna be fun. He's gonna
try to steal from them.
No,
His
he
whole
doesn't.
introductory scene is him coming in on the plan and shitting all over it, and saying, "You don't simply walk into Mordor." And there's a difference between Frodo fighting with Gollum, who's trying to fucking murder him, versus Boromir, who tries to murder Frodo over the fucking ring. There's a difference. Gollum is a bad man who's trying to kill Frodo. Frodo is Boromir's friend at that point in time. It's completely different.
What I'm saying is they've both been corrupted by the ring.
But it depends. But it's not just.
But I think it's the right thing to kill Gollum. If Gollum is trying to kill you, I think it's ethically good to defend yourself against him. The ring has nothing to do with it.
What I'm saying is that like the Frodo who tries to steal the ring and take it for himself.
Yeah.
And is also like not the real Frodo, regardless of him trying to kill Gollum. I think that when we see Boromir before the ring is ever into play, when we see him in Osgiliath after the victory, when he's cheering his men on, he's being a charismatic leader. He's standing up for Faramir to his abusive father. He's being, he's being a bro. He's passing around alcohol. I think it would be a lot of fun to sit down with a normal Boromir. You
I
know,
think Boromir, yeah, but that's the problem. That's not all Boromir is. Boromir
uh,
would feel like a great addition to the table for the first 4 weeks, and just when it got to the point where it's too late to kick him out, he starts stealing from your friends. And then you would
yeah.
go, oh my god, this is a nightmare. What have I done?
He doesn't even steal. He doesn't even
It's not
steal.
him stealing.
He doesn't even
right?
steal out of like greed. He is desperate to save his people. I think.
Yeah, he's
it's,
not stable. He thinks he's not like I think when things start to go bad, Boromir would be one of the characters who crack. I don't care how bad it gets. Frodo's always going to be a bro.
He was the
That
first.
cannot be said about Boromir. It cannot be said about Boromir.
Okay, I'll place him in A tier, but I'll place him above Galadriel, Gimli, and Legolas because I think he's
Biased. High
No,
B is the highest you can put him.
no,
High
no.
B is the highest you get.
Listen, you brought a murderous Nazgul to the table, and we're like, he's S. Let me put my Boromir there.
Because he treats his friends well. How does the Witch King of Angmar treat his friends?
You know
Amazing.
he whips. You know he whips his orcs. You know he whips his orcs.
Does he?
No, nah. He doesn't
We
whip
don't
his
see
orcs
it.
though.
You know that
The
he
Witch
doesn't.
King of Angmar is a bro. He
Out of-
accepts his own defeat on basis of a technicality.
No.
Imagine this table. Imagine this table. You're DMing, and you're DMing for Aragorn, Gandalf, Frodo, and the Witch King of Angmar.
Yes.
Name a better table. I can't. That's perfection. I would be like,
I put Boromir instead of the Witch King of Angmar.
yeah, you're biased. You're biased.
You instead are totally cool. You're just like the guy with the big armor. You're just like an evil paladin.
Okay,
You're
here's
like
the
an
thing. I
evil
like that
paladin.
the Witch King of Angmar is 120% committed to his own bit. And he takes orders and is never putting his own ego into the situation. He's always willing. The Witch King of Angmar is always willing to let other characters play off of him. And
I
then
like
when
to
another
talk about him like he's a real character with a real
Yeah.
personality.
And then when somebody uses him for their ultimate character development that would kill him, he goes, "Yep, it's consistent with the narrative so far. You got me. I am dead." Like you can only ask for that kind of player. Like maybe you interpret the Witch King of Angmar's player personality differently than me, sure. But I feel like what I've outlined is an S tier player.
I don't know. I think it would still bring a lot of abusive energy to the table.
Yes.
Copernicus, back me up on the Boromir thing. You don't need to back me up on the Witch King, but back me up on the Boromir is too high in this list, right?
Copernicus, you love me, right?
I
Okay.
do cry.
There's a declaration of defeat if I ever saw one.
I did cry when I read the book when Boromir died, and I cried when I watched the film and he died. I do agree that he could be a good player in the beginning, but I think the fact, because the ring has different effects on different people. It all depends on how capable you are in resisting the temptations. So I think at the end of the day, he was corrupted. He was the first to crack out of all the fellowship. So I agree with the series over this. I think he's rated too high.
Well, this is wildcard, so I don't have to listen to it.
We can move the Witch King of Angmar behind Frodo if you put Boromir in low A. All right, how's that for a compromise? He's the lowest in A, and therefore the Witch King also doesn't get to stay in S. He has to go behind Frodo.
I'm sorry, I cannot place, and I cannot genuinely think that like somehow Elrond is worse than the Witch King of Angmar at your table. I can see how Galadriel.
The Witch King of Angmar has a smaller personality. He's just doing his thing. Elrond's messing with your shit and telling you should all form a fellowship, and if you don't want to do that, then the Witch King of Angmar is better to play with.
But I see. Okay, so here's the thing.
He lets you do your thing.
Earlier we said that like Elrond is like Frodo. He doesn't fit at every table. I think the Witch King of Angmar also doesn't fit at every table. But I think
that's true.
Why is he a leader?
I think that because this guy is so fucking intense.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
the way if you want to play like a casual game where you want to do a story like with lower stakes, then like the Witch King of Angmar
Or
is kind
even
of not the
just like
right
if
fit
you
for the
want to
group.
be able to crack a joke at the table and have some fun, even if the stakes are high. Like I feel like the Witch of Amar never breaks character,
But
and
he's so genuine. He cares
yeah,
so much.
but he gets pissed if you break character. I think.
No,
Like, is
no,
that
he
No, I
really?
doesn't.
don't think so.
He'd be like,
No.
yeah, no, he'd be like, is that really what your character would do?
No, no. Okay, here, I'll give you this, right? If he was a GM, the Witch King of Angmar would run a miserable game. it would be too intense all the time, and it would be miserable and not very inspired or original. That absolutely is true. But as a player, I think he gets out of people's way, but he does his thing with 120% sincerity, and he always sticks to the narrative, right? And you got to respect that. You got to respect
Yeah.
someone who always sticks to the bit, even if their bit is being an awesome edgelord.
Yeah, I still think that Elrond and Frodo both fit into more tables than him. I think his
Looking at this
energy.
table, I feel like Frodo is S tier.
Are you sure? I was about to
No,
say
I
we
feel
should
like
put
Frodo is a
Frodo
lot better than Elrond.
I don't think so. I think that like every time combat starts, Frodo kind of loses interest, and I think that D&D is a very combat heavy game. I respect everything that Frodo does right. I think he belongs to the top of A tier, but I think that like Aragorn and Gandalf, you can drop them into anything, and they'll be excited to play. I don't think that that's the same for Frodo.
But actually, for Aragorn, it's not his motivation to become the king.
But no, this is Aragorn as the player.
Yeah, still, as the player, maybe he just doesn't have too much motivation in general,
I mean,
as opposed to the intense characters, intense players.
no, I mean,
I want to pitch you guys on an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine playing a game with you get to pick 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you pick Gandalf.
Oh yeah, I
Wait,
would
let
do
me
that.
think about it. Aragorn, Gandalf, the Witch King of Angmar, and Galadriel. How fucking intense would that game be?
That would be a very intense game.
You couldn't play that once a week. It would be too much emotionally for you to handle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then you can also have the Aragorn, Boromir, and Legolas
Legolas,
and
Gimli.
Gimli
Yeah.
party, who are
That's
just
nice.
like your classic D&D party, having a lot of fun, playing their roles sometimes just kind of like doing like running, doing combat, playing a little bit optimized maybe.
But it starts off being a little
Yeah,
bit.
I just feel like you swap out like Legolas or Boromir for Galadriel in that grouping, and it instantly becomes better.
Yeah, probably. I mean, she's higher on the rank. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we have a pretty cool ranking here. I'm gonna save this one. And do you want to do like a flash round, since we are already on topic of like them, but as dungeon masters?
Sure.
Do you want
yeah.
to? Sauron. I think it goes back to low B. He's not for everyone, but like there is someone who will enjoy his game.
I would.
Yeah, like there is a group
Like,
of players
you don't know
who would who would
No.
love it.
Yeah.
Like if like Wormtongue, Saruman, and Denethor played in his game, they'd be like, "Yeah, you're right. This is exactly correct." You know what I mean? There's a group of people who would subordinate themselves to his vision and enjoy the game. So yeah,
I think he's gonna run a good campaign.
Gollum C, obviously. Gollum's campaign. I mean, we know what it would be about, but it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for Gandalf,
Find the precious.
Denethor also see nothing to enjoy.
nothing to
Worse
engage.
Yeah,
than
it was
worse than,
just it sucked.
worse
We'd
than-
already covered that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
you're
maybe
right, Copernicus. Though Gandalf would be like S.
S for sure. Yeah.
S. Yeah, we also
Yeah.
already talked about. I think Galadriel is also absolutely S tier.
Yes.
Yeah,
dungeon
I think that would be. I would put Galadriel the highest. Just I've played a lot of D&D in my life. I think hers would be the freshest, newest, most creative artistic take. She would like play music she composed herself in the background
wow,
of
yeah.
scenes and stuff like that.
Elrond. I think Elrond is like
A tier. I would
It's
say.
like A. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
for everyone, but like a lot better than Sauron's.
For most people.
I
they-
feel like Elrond actually I would put him in low S. Like
Low
I think
S.
he would be a really great GM. He's so knowledgeable.
Yeah,
He
he
just
has all
knows
the lore.
everything.
He has all the lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Elrond S.
And then Frodo, I would say A, because it's gonna be very enjoyable. Even
Yeah.
though
It's not gonna be
like-
like a masterpiece of art, but it'll be a masterpiece of hanging out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I have to say, Legolas and Gimli, I don't think would make great GMs.
no, I don't
Yeah,
think so.
I
They
think
don't.
they
I think
might be,
Legolas.
yeah, I think they might
I
be
think-
worse than Sauron. Honestly, they don't have vision. I don't think they have
For
the
sure,
vision
yeah.
for.
I think I mostly agree with. I think I would put Legolas worse than Sauron, Gimli better than Sauron, because I feel like Gimli might do some interesting dwarven culture, something that I
Oh,
would
exactly,
actually be
yeah.
interested in.
That
Or
can be.
I mean, oh no, I know why. You know why Gimli would be better than Sauron?
What?
Because Gimli would design the sickest fucking dungeons and caves to
Oh
explore.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh wow. Let's
I
put
think
him
for
in
the right
A.
person, I feel like that's kind of what B tier is here. It's like for the right person, it would be good, right?
Yeah.
Like for the right, like if you like dungeon crawling, Gimli would give you a sick fucking game. If you just want to watch somebody else's novel, Sauron would give you a sick fucking game. Legolas, maybe he should be in C tier. I feel like he's kind of milk toast.
Yeah. Same. I
Yeah.
agree. He doesn't
Yeah.
have much to.
Like
Yeah. Oh,
at
let me
least he's
guess,
not trying
Legolas.
to
We are
murder
saving.
you.
Yeah, like oh, let
Sorry,
me
yeah.
guess. Let me guess, Legolas. We're playing. We're saving the forest again.
Yeah, exactly.
You're fighting
Right?
the
It's like at
giant
least he's not
spiders.
trying to murder you, and at least like you don't want to kill yourself at the end of his game because you're so fucking depressed from not being able to do anything. But like it's the epitome of forgettable.
Yeah. Aragorn.
I think
Aragorn
Aragorn.
run
Yeah,
a
I
very
think it's-
classic game.
I think he can run an A game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be like a
Yeah,
classic.
like A tier, nothing to put it over the top, but you know,
He'd
It's
be
gonna
such
be
a classic,
standard,
you know, like
standard, yeah.
you start in a tavern. There's an evil dark lord. We're going.
He
in
literally
caves.
met everyone in the tavern.
Yeah, he was in a tavern. He met in a tavern.
It's very classic, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think wild cards, wild cards. Snap, snap, snap.
Hmm. Huh.
what's the most interesting one to pull?
Hmm.
I think Bilbo would do actually a really
Oh,
good
Bilbo
game.
would do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
he's like
'Cause he's
Frodo.
such a storyteller. I think he
Yeah,
would be
he's-
better than Frodo.
Hmm.
I think he
tier
would bring
above Frodo.
Frodo's charm with a little bit more lore.
A tier or bottom S?
I think A tier.
Okay.
No, actually, I would put it in bottom S. Like I tend to appreciate stories that take themselves like super super seriously. So you know, but that's my bias. I think Bilbo's actually a good enough storyteller. He should be an S.
Let
Oh
me think.
fuck! No, I fucked up, guys. Somebody please do Treebeard.
Yeah, I was looking at Treebeard.
Oh, I can do Tribute. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Please, somebody pick Treebeard.
Oh my god, I think it's gonna be. I will rate it B because it's gonna be very slow.
I think Treebeard is the bottom B,
But he
below
has a lot of
Sauron.
stories to tell.
Yeah, but he's so fucking slow,
He
and
is
he would
slow.
talk so much. And he'd
Oh,
be
You'd be
like,
like that
okay.
article, guys. Like, have you guys seen that article of like DM has been running this game for 30 years or something like that?
Yeah.
That would be Treebeard. Like 200 sessions in, you would be level 4.
hey, that's almost my game.
No, well, it's not quite as bad, thankfully.
I will put him maybe after Legolas in the end because it's gonna be too slow.
So in C tier.
In C tier.
Damn.
Yeah, in
Okay.
C tier.
Just
yeah.
introducing yourself is
Hey,
going to
that-
be half the session.
Exactly. Yeah.
He has zero discipline.
Yeah. I am going to place. I'm going to place Theoden.
What about warmth?
Between I don't know if to place him before or after Gimli, but I think that Theoden can run a
I think
sick
before.
game.
I would say before.
I think Theoden could run a sick game if you catch him at the right time, right? Old
Yeah.
Theoden would obviously run an awful game.
Yeah, I mean that would be just Grima, just running the game.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I think Grima would be one of the worst.
Absolutely.
Not that he's in our Flash
Absolutely.
ranking, but
He's manipulating
No,
you.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I think that Theoden has like I recently rewatched Two Towers. We watched them
We
together.
watched together. Yeah.
Exactly. And like I don't know why I missed it before, but I came to appreciate Theoden so much more. Just like the way he talks, the line deliveries he has. I think he would have such evocative descriptions. He would bring such a feeling to the world.
He can sing.
Yeah, I mean the speeches he could do, the
Yeah, the
narrations he
speeches.
could do,
Yeah,
He's
like
really good.
would
he is.
be
Yeah,
really good.
Theoden takes the crown. I mean, he is much better, I think, on average than like Aragorn at delivering a rousing speech.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
would actually put him low A, I think. I
Yeah,
don't think he really belongs in B tier. I think he's better than that.
yeah. He would have these. Yeah, he would have like a lot of mounted combat though. Lots of mounted combat.
And nothing to dislike there. If you know you're signing up for it.
uh, okay, I'm gonna save this one.
Alrighty. Those are
Uh,
our tier lists. You guys can check our tier lists in the description. We'll link images of our tier lists and to the tier list maker. You can make your own tier list. You can email us. You can talk to us about why our picks are wrong. But just know that we are objectively correct, and your criticism will fall on deaf ears. Do you guys have anything to plug?
do we have anything to plug? Do you have any recommendations?
Recommendations
Copernicus,
for
movies, series, games, anything?
if you haven't read the books of the Lord of the Rings, I totally recommend that you read all of them.
Yeah, it's a bit niche, but honestly, it's worth
It's
it,
not
guys.
really niche, I'd say. Yeah.
No, I mean, if you haven't heard about this Lord of the Rings thing, it's really worth your time.
Yeah, it's such a classic, and just like series, when I
It's
read
also
it,
not like so intense, right? Like reading a book is a really good activity these days when you're
yeah,
too anxious from having been online all the time. I think we should go back to reading nice long books.
yeah.
Mm,
I used to read it at night, and I would stay up to just read the Lord of the Rings.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything, Saris?
I'm going to plug. I forgot to do it. I think last episode when I talked about them and I mentioned them. Sitcom D&D is a very fun podcast where people play fifth edition D&D, but they pretend that they're in a sitcom and they do a lot of improvisational comedy, and it's very fun. Season 3 is really the peak, so if you want to just jump in somewhere and give it a listen, it's really good. It's got 5 seasons in total, and they stopped it sadly and started doing other stuff, but they also got most of the good material out of their concept in those 5 seasons. So, yeah, I don't think I plugged them last time, so I will plug them this time.
Okay. I'm gonna plug a board game called Seven Wonders. I played it recently. As someone who likes big box board games, but doesn't like when they try to get too when the rules get too like granular. Like I played the board game version of Civilization 5, and like man, that was a mistake. So I went into playing Seven Wonders with some friends, expecting it to be similar, but it was not. It's a really fun game where you're basically playing as a civilization trying to build one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. And it kind of combines deck mechanics and trade mechanics. And it's very interesting. The game loop is quite simple. You get a deck of cards, you pick a card that you want to kind of like it can be a technology or a building or something to develop your civilization, and then you place you put the cards down, and you hand the deck to the next player, so the decks rotate. So you can also kind of check out if there's a card that is very good for your opponent who comes after you. You may want to take it even if it's not the best one for you, just so that you can take advantage. It's that they can't take advantage of it. So there's a bit of layers to the game loop, but like generally it was very simple. I learned it very quickly. It looks intimidating. It is not. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to playing it again.
Alrighty, folks, that'll just about do it for our 8th episode. If you want more, you can find us on youtube.com/atafriendlyorbit, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, finally! And if you happen to have any Astral Echoes, yes. And if you happen to have any Astral Echoes you want to share with us, you can email us at afriendlyorbit@gmail.com. All one word. We're waiting. We're waiting desperately for your emails.
Yeah. All right, Ceres, Copernicus, I'll talk to you later, and to all of our fellow Voyagers, we will catch you out there amongst the stars.
Ooh.